Because of you, there is nothing that I don't feel guilty for, nothing at all. It all is buried in my mind and will be there until the day I die. The horror of what I did to them cannot be erased nor changed. I was the one driving. We were just coming back from a party. It was my 4 friends, Mark, Tim, Sophia, Andrew, and I in the car. I wasn't paying enough attention, so when the corner came up, I hit the brakes, but they didn't work, and the rest I do not remember. I remember waking up in the hospital, the smell of the disinfectant they used in there, and the screams of joy from the family as I awoke. It was 3 days from that point that they told me what happened that night. The passengers in the car were dead. We had hit a tree, and I was the only one to survive. When they told me that it felt as if knives were stabbing me in the gut, it only seemed like a few nights ago I was with them, but in reality, I had been in a coma for 18 days. I do not expect you to understand what the feeling is like when you miss your friends' funerals. I do not expect you to know what it is like to have killed your friends. The police had told me that it was mechanical error that caused the crash, but I don't agree with that. I took my eyes off the road. I might have been able to correct it. I remember on my last night in the hospital, I heard a whisper, not loud. It was barely audible out of the 4 or 5 words that were said. I only heard one, you. As I turned to where I had heard the voice coming from, I thought I saw a shadow sprint across the room. I tried in vain to stay awake, but eventually, the darkness enclosed me, and I slept. The next day, I asked doctors about what happened, and they told me that it could be from the injuries I had gained from the crash and not to think much of it, just to get rest and make sure I stay hydrated, and eventually they'll go away. When I finally got home, I felt comfortable and decided to check out my Facebook page. I had 42 messages. Most of them were abuse due to what had happened, although some of the people had also sent apologies for what I was going through and tried to be empathetic. I was just about to log off, but a message came up. It was from Andrew. I took a deep breath and had a look at the message. It simply said, "Because of you, I am dead." I yelled for my dad, and he rushed in and saw the message. He cursed and went off his head about how much Andrew's dad couldn't deal with Andrew's death, and clearly he was trying to scare me. It never went away. It stuck with me. It never went away. If scaring me was his intention, he did a damn good job of it. A sick joke, but I understand why he did it. To everyone but the police, it was my fault. It was days before anything happened again. I was walking to the servo, Australian slang for gas station, to get a Coke. There was something watching me. I couldn't see it at first, but I could feel it. I was filled with a coldness. I didn't know what it was. My shoulder felt the coldness the worst. I realized it was a hand. I turned around to punch it, but there was no one there. The only person was on the other side of the road. They looked familiar. I noticed who it was. It was Sophia. She pointed and screamed at me as blood dripped from her mouth. I froze. I didn't know what to do. Then she vanished. I wish I had died. I was trying to sleep that night. All I could hear was whispers until there was a high-pitched whisper. I woke up, but I didn't dare get out of my bed. They were all there. Tim, Sophia, Andrew, and Mark. They looked normal, until Andrew looked at me and said, "Because of you, I am dead." He then proceeded to pull shards of glass out of his face, blood gushing out of the wounds, but there wasn't screams from him, only laughter, and that was all. Then once again, they disappeared. It is my fault they died. So as the Bible says, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Jack Gleason was found in his room. This was the last thing he wrote before he killed himself. 6 shards of glass were found on his bed. The Bed of Sorrow is a legend born from many ancient ghost stories and folk tales that have, over time, become merged into the story we know today. It is practiced in small numbers by those who either believe in its supposed power or who simply seek a thrill in the manner of other haunted games such as Bloody Mary. The legend states that the Bed of Sorrow was used by a poor soul long since departed who would weep day and night into the sheets, unable to be consoled as they withered away in that bed, never leaving, not even to eat, drink, or relieve themselves. In time, the inevitable occurred, and the tragic figure died, still weeping, although they were removed from the bed and given a burial. The bed itself would begin to exhibit unnatural properties, such as the once white sheets turning a shade of red. A feeling of continual dread surrounded the bed, and thus, if the story is to be believed, it was destroyed in an effort to end what many believed was a curse left behind by a restless spirit. As with such stories, however, the bed is said to somehow materialize even to this day, and those who seek it out are said to find any abandoned house and search for a single room with a red door that appears locked. Knocking on the door twice opens it, and the explorer may enter. Upon doing so, they will notice the room is completely empty, with no furniture or windows. The only object to be found is a single bed in the middle of the room with red sheets. This is when the explorer has a choice to leave the room and never return, as many do. Yet if one dares to proceed, they may close the red door behind them and make their way to the bed and lay down on it, making sure to lay on top of the sheets. As they lay on the bed, they must close their eyes and remain deadly still. The sound of weeping will fill the room, and the sound of knocking will come from the red door. One must keep still and never open their eyes. No matter how loud the weeping gets, or how violent the knocking becomes, the bed will seem to shake. But once again, one must not open their eyes nor move. Eventually, the shaking will stop, and the room will go silent. At this point, a voice will whisper from the dark, "It is done." At that moment, one must open one's eyes and leave the room, being sure to close the door behind them and not look back. One must continue to exit the house and head back home without looking back or talking to anyone or anything on the journey back. Should a figure in red appear at any point during one's journey home, run and do not stop. Should a figure in white appear, however, keep walking and under no circumstances begin to run. Should one make it home, immediately go to bed and sleep. When one awakens, all feelings of doubt and grief will vanish. The story claims the Bed of Sorrow shall take away one's troubles for up to 7 days following the encounter, but should any of the steps be missed or broken, the weight of one's grief and doubt will increase tenfold every day until one can successfully complete the tasks. So horror fills your veins with a feeling like no other. Well, lucky you. You are exactly who he needs. When you're in bed and hear a creak, don't think for a second it's the house settling, because it's him. Have you ever woken up in the middle night? It's no coincidence. It's him making you wake up. He knows you're scared of him, because every night, when you turn off that light, you rush away as fast as you can, not checking any rooms because in the back of your mind, you know he's there, and you're afraid to look. When you finally fall into the realm of sleep, he'll stand above you watching. When you're lying on your side, not daring to turn around just in case something greets you, that's him. Right when you're about to doze off to sleep, he'll make a sound to keep you awake. When you finally get the courage to turn around, he will disappear. But if he doesn't, he'll make your death as slow and agonizing as he can, Now you should try to get some sleep, and remember to check every last room. Sweet dreams.